hot. Welcome to my TED Talk. You might be thinking to yourself, Halloween is over, why are we talking about monsters? Listen, it's over when I say it's over. Christmas has been pushing the border back for years, and I'll say it, like, if there is a war on Christmas, I'm going to enlist on the side of Halloween. And so that said, let's go to war. From the moment that I was able to define things that I liked individually as a person, I was always drawn towards creepy stuff. I remember my mom would always like come in on something that I was watching and it would be particularly intense or just dark in whatever way that it was. And she'd be like, why do you like this stuff? That was a horrible impression of my mom, I'm sorry. She'd always ask me why I like this stuff. And I never really had an answer. I think I have an answer. This might sound extremely narcissistic, but I have always been attracted to qualities or people that remind me of myself. Maybe not reminding me entirely of myself, but instead I see qualities that I relate to or aspire to. I see looks and aesthetics that I could aspire to. For example, the first time I really asked myself the question, do I want to be with her or do I want to be her? Celine from Underworld. Just like to thank Kate Beckinsale for awakening a lot of things within me. Thank you so much for your service. I always feel drawn to just like monstrous characters and people. Not necessarily like the killing people part. I've never enjoyed that. Right? That's not really my thing, you know? There's something about people or otherwise living in the thick of it that just is appealing to me because I myself feel like I'm in the thick of it at all times. Some of you may have noticed, and maybe it was the teeth that I wore in that one video, I'm kind of doing a vampire kind of look these days. I kind of look vampiric, and that's absolutely on purpose. Thank you for noticing. Probably like, you should be wearing the teeth in this video. Like, listen, I wore them on Halloween, and I haven't cleaned them since then. They're a little gross right now, and I don't want to put that in my mouth. I'm not trying to get sick, you know? Let's break down what a vampire is in generic terms. A vampire is a being that oftentimes is forced to live on the fringes of society, living with a chronic condition that makes them hungry for something at all times. That could also be my Twitter bio. You feel me? Also, a lot of the times vampires are really hot, and I want to be really hot. And so I look at that, I'm like, yeah, me. The first time somebody drew my attention to the fact that there is an absolute parallel between like a lot of supernatural, like monstrous creature kind of things and like chronic illness conditions, whatever, it blew my freaking mind. Allow me to impart that mind-blowing onto y'all. Something that I grappled with starting in like my teenage years and everything, and maybe this is why I ended up so goddamn emo, is just this feeling that I am a freak somehow. It wasn't necessarily like a physical appearance thing, although I'm kind of leaning into that these days. But I felt so isolated from everything else, and I couldn't figure out why that was the case. I just felt so alone all the time. That path kind of led me in a direction that led to me getting to a very dark place myself with addiction, with depression, with all of those things that I lived through. I was also a deeply closeted queer person, and I feel like that cannot be overstated. I think subconsciously, when I like read or watch or hear stories that involve like vampires, whatever, monsters, whatever, I see myself in that. I see somebody who didn't ask to be in the situation that they were in, or if they did, they didn't realize the full consequences of that, and they're just stuck in that. And a lot of the times there's like an overwhelming thirst or hunger for something that involves, death in the end, and like big mood. As a sober person, technically by choice, it's really not a choice, because the choice essentially for me is between life and death. Those are the things that I'm choosing in between. I think I've always been drawn to like these intense, dark, monstrous stories because stuff is that intense for me a lot of the time. And there's some element of making it into something that can't possibly exist or is just purely fantasy that for me feels cathartic and escapist, that I can follow like my own story without having to follow my own story. And the thing about a lot of stories that are fiction, that we read, that we watch, all of that kind of stuff, there's a resolution usually in those stories. And I don't know about y'all, but that's invaluable for me. Truth be told, I am drawn to monsters because a lot of the time I feel like one. And that's absolutely not justified within my own life, but it's still something that I deal with. I want so desperately a lot of the time to just feel normal. And like, which is so strange because that is a concept that I feel like so many of us are living through, because nobody, I think, really understands or feels normal. But a lot of my energy is spent on that desire of kind of passing as like high functioning or whatever, because so much of my energy goes into not concealing myself, but surviving, essentially. And sometimes it's just nice to see people who relate to that. Even if those people aren't people at all. Even if for one night of the month they turn into a freaking huge wolf and then kill people a bunch of the time, you know? It's relatable stuff. So I think that's why I dig monsters so much. 'Cause I feel like one. Which is so emo to say. I want to talk about that for a second. We're gonna just pivot in this video to a whole nother theme. Something that I've treasured over the years through what we do here is this community of people who have come together, and through this, I personally, I can't speak for anyone but myself, have felt normal. I've gotten that sense of, you know, I am doing it and I'm okay through this kind of a thing. And even if it's through just the community acknowledgement that sometimes we're not okay and sometimes, you know, things are not good, that for me, again, is an invaluable concept. These days, I often feel disconnected. And I think it's something I have to actively fight against. I have to actively reconnect with the world and with y'all and with all of this. I find myself more often than not when I upload a video not reading comments for a couple days because for some reason I'm scared of them. I have nothing to be scared of. And I think I'm scared of feeling good about them. Right? It's I don't understand it entirely. I'm working on it. But like my last video, for example, which is one that I was genuinely nervous to upload, y'all have provided just a wonderful sense of human connection that to me feels really extremely special. For anyone out there who might feel a bit like a freak or a monster or whatever, you're not. You know, you might be a bit on the fringes, you might be a bit alternative here and there, whatever that means, but you're not. You know, you're living your own life in the way that you see fit, and you're doing things that make you happy, and in the end, that's really all of us on this planet are doing that. And I think that's the that on that. Thank y'all so much for watching. As always, with this video going up on my Patreon page, there's an entire bonus video that always happens. For every video I upload, there's a bonus video entirely over there on my Patreon. It can be accessed for as little as $1 a month, as is all of my other Patreon content. And I assure you that this month and the next month, there's going to be a lot of other bonus things because I'm working on a lot of stuff that I don't really want to tell anyone about right now, but I might tell Patreon first. Patreon is the only place that I draw an income from my videos anymore. It feels the most honest for me. If you're able to, if you want to, supporting me on there helps me continue to do this and help me support myself here in my life. And enables me to make art, and that's something that I really want to connect to these days. It's going to be one of the first links in the description if you would like to check that out. It would mean the world to me for everyone over there right now. Gosh, I love y'all so much. But that's the plug for that. I'm going to go now. If you have any thoughts, please leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear what y'all have to think, and I'm going to try and respond to a bunch at some point. I need to get back in the habit of doing that because I love talking to y'all. Anyways, that's that. I'm going to go now.